Hi, this is G Singh. I've just completed about 2 months of some intense work, personal intense work, and then some formal training in the Wing Chun Kuen system of martial arts, which I consider the equal to any Supreme Ultimate Fist method, and it comes from the Shaolin Southern Temple, and it considered, in my sense, a Southern Chinese martial art, Southern Chinese Tai Chi Chow, Tai Chi Quan, with the northern one being from the Wu Dang Mountain. And I loved both of them. And of course, I never studied the Southern method, which is Wing Chun Kuen. I never studied that formally, except once, many years ago, and did not understand what I was looking at. I began my study first time. I was doing Kun Tao Salat. My teacher sent me over to look at the Wing Chun. Brian Edwards in Fayetteville, North Carolina, great, unbelievable martial artist, great a Wing Chun practitioner. He opened this stuff back in the 80s when I was in the Army. And when I studied it, I just didn't understand it. My knowledge of martial arts was very small. And I thought of it nothing more than a Kempo or a Chinese version of karate, and didn't really understand what the man was trying to teach me. He never showed me the application of it, and perhaps he was right not to, because I wasn't ready to understand it anyway. Either way, I, from what I learned and learned more stuff, I got my butt whipped by Wing Chun guys. I learned how to defend myself against such butt whippings, and integrated some of those techniques into my own fighting. I found that there are many similarities in Salat and in Tai Chi where you can use them, and of course boxing if you can be great there. So I learned that, but I never got to do it formally. In my studies now, it became important, and I had the opportunity to study it, and I took the opportunity, and I'm glad that I did. Gary Lam's system is amazing. It has a great curriculum. I don't know other ones, so I can't compare. But as far as I know, it's a great curriculum. It jumps right on striking and grappling mixed together. And if you go to the seminar, you can learn the elemental aspects of what he's talking about, which is really great because he actually shows what he's talking about and you can figure it out. He also, at least for me, showed two things. He showed the simple little idea, still named Tao, and he also talked about Chun Q, and that was awesome. So, which is the application of a form for movement or being able to search and find your target along the axis of the three fronts using the wooden dummy when you apply it, and that was also good. He didn't show me the wooden dummy application, but I kind of know wooden dummy movements anyway from other sources and training and from other people, so it allowed me to really hone in and cultivate those skills too. Um, anyway, the cool part about what I'm bringing up today, I was going to talk about what I learned based on the elemental board that he set up and I was looking at, comparing it to what I already knew. And it's a wonderful thing to talk about. He talks about, again, the five elements. The first one is water, which for him is change, the hands changing. And in that change, if you need an example, it would be the Dan Chi Sao application with both hands, which is the Chi Sao. And for him, the hands, you have to control the triangle made by the body, upper part of the body. And you have to be able to control 2 points along it, which with the full hand is the center line. And in the camera, it's hard for me to do that, but you can see where my hands are at because it's at an angle. Sorry about that, but you can put your imagination and get it. And the other one is the tong, okay, where the fook is on top and the tong is underneath. Okay, your first motion, of course, is to the center line, where you strike over the shoulder. Once it's there, you come back to the tong, and then you roll over with the bong. Once the bong is there, pushing the other shoulder, okay, elbow stays in, the fook is orchestrated down to a jut, comes up with a kuen, and back to a fook, and then it comes back over. And these techniques are used so that it can run out the center line so you can do that. So again, it's boom, 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 boom. And it's done that way, and it's pretty cool to understand how he's working that, of course, the other stuff that you're doing. So it's really cool to understand that, but hands are water, and it's changing. Making sure that you, first of all, find the intent of your opponent and ride that intent, okay, so you're able to control them eventually with more time. The next movement, of course, would be for him in the system is the wood. Now with Tai Chi, water is always a weak side movement. It's a reactive movement, right side of the brain movement. So in water, it's always your weak side or weak side looking. The wood is moving in reverse in Tai Chi. otherwise withdrawing, giving, leading into emptying, into attraction, into emptiness. For the Wing Chun, wood is a penetrating thing. It's the roots going into the soil and displacing so that it can find greater power and strength and balance. Or as Gary Lam talks about, you're actually pushing to seek center, to attack center, always attacking center, and also, okay, and riding it with the full hand riding it, and also to seek where the passive resistance is and where there is weakness. Once this is done, you're good to go. So again, that's their wood. Then they have what's called their fire. Fire for Tai Chi normally is the push, but for these individuals, it's the pull. So for Wing Chun, it's the pull, and they actually do the pushing until they find the weakness. And when the person tries to overcompensate, they pull them down. In the Sil Nam Dao, it's a cleansing action, and they pull them down into their strength. Normally, is a strike or just throws them off balance if they're completely off balance, and they actually leave their feet. The opponent leaves his feet. It's really amazing, and they do this through their proprioception, which their stance gives them great proprioception and strength. So with time, they're able to do that against an individual who doesn't train in a similar manner. So it's really awesome to watch them do this, and to actually do it yourself. And fire is, of course, to them an explosive motion. So once they do the water and the change, and they feel you, and then all of a sudden they do that little push and find a weakness, they will pull you. Okay, pull you immediately, pull you off balance if they can. Next would be the earth. Okay, so with earth, it's a controlling action. Once they pulled you and pulled you off balance, if you don't go down, you try to refine yourself. Once you're doing that, they will step to the side, go to your flank, and control the elbow and the shoulder, enabling themselves to uproot you completely with a push, okay, to get you off your feet, or push you into a wall. If they do that with the control, they're good to go. They can also control you squared up by making sure they keep at least 2 points, along their triangle. So they have upper hands, they're controlling the center, and if they're controlling the center, they're controlling the shoulder, okay, 2 points along a triangle, they have you under control squared up. And this is how they do their earth movements. Last but not least, metal. Once they've done all the stuff that uproots you, okay, then they strike and they pound you. And this is awesome when you see them do it. One of the first things they show with the pounding is the chain punch. And that's a really good punch because everything comes straight up from the center. Okay, so once they're doing that, it's really awesome. And of course, they protect center line the whole time. So it's pretty cool how they do it. And all of these techniques, if you practice modern pancration, if you practice dirty boxing, modern pancration, you practice CQC dirty boxing, where you have weapons and everything, all this stuff really works in close quarters. There's no doubt. If you can perfect it, you got something going that's really good, especially with the conditioning efforts that go along with the unarmed combat. Yeah, you got something that's pretty high speed. It's stand up and allows you to work really well if you're carrying a lot of stuff on, a lot of uniform stuff. Wing Chun was taught to special operations, special forces guys. I know in the 7th group, one of my students got it. And of course, my first wake-up call was a Brian Edwards student coming into my gym, an Angels gym, and lighting my ass up when he came in there and did something, because I didn't expect him to know it. And he got right down upon me and was doing his chi sao when I tried to enter into his center. And he did it instinctively, and it was amazing. And I had to actually, get on my horse, on my wheels, and start getting around this guy. And then, of course, he went back and woke me up, and we put a wooden dummy in our gym and started back to practicing how to do it right. But the whole point is that Wing Chun and the elemental stuff works really well. The Sil Nam Dao, or the simple little idea, covers 3 fronts, which is spoken about by Wu Menzi if you're a Tai Chi cat. If you're a student of Western pugilism and you've studied Daniel Mendoza's book, The Science of Boxing, The Art of Boxing, or you studied Boxiana, Fistiana, Pugilistica, which are ancient books. The Science of Self-Defense by Edward Pierce. if you studied all those Western books, not to mention Tesseracts, and you also studied the Ring Box by Bostanguis, Bostanguis Ring Box, which is the first Western Tai Chi Chuan, 1500s or 16th century viewpoint of Tai Chi from the western part of the house, which basically came from acrocherismos, which is high-handed grappling or high-handed fighting, which Timothesius used in Milos's seventh defense of his pancreation for the Olympics in Greece. So if you study all that stuff, then you're gonna love Wing Chun, studying it from its classic form, because you'll get to understand how all that stuff works. You'll even get to understand why the old boxers used to fight like this. And even Wing Chun is the same way. They do the same techniques and they fight the same way. They protect that center line. They make sure it's protected. They cover their three fronts. It's amazing how, I guess, it's a science for the body and how it breaks down. Anybody who does any major study will get it. So that's why I loved watching it, and the elemental stuff breaks down. Controlling the 3 points or 2 points along a triangle, very important. Making the triangle so you have structure up and down the body, very important. And to get down. Something really cool he spoke about, which was the fist. He said when the fist is made, when the hands are bunched up, muscles are no matter how lax you are, muscles are being used in the punch. So there's a certain amount of, even though you may have some speed, it's still a certain amount of tension that you'll have. But real internal power that comes from the bones is when the hand is on a straight line and the fingers are extended. And I thought that was a wonderful way of putting it, because I think he's right, at least from my understanding of my skill set. I think he's right. And the minute I tried to do that, it was wonderful. Okay, but I think he also was including in mentioning it so that you're a person who studies pugilism properly. Okay, if you're doing the Chinese system, then of course studying the 72 arts of Shaolin, okay, which teaches you pinch the flower, the Buddha finger, cinnabar palm, heavenly dragon roller hands techniques. You're practicing all the plum blossom technique. You're practicing fingertip push-ups. You're practicing a tiger claw. You're practicing all the stuff, all that's good stuff. Okay, plus the breathing, Vedic and Taoist breathing methods, which give you longevity and also give you power. If you're practicing all that stuff with that, then of course you can do the extended hand. You're doing everything right. Plus you're doing your simple little idea, so your structure is sound. And of course, if you understand the Northern Supreme Ultimate Fist techniques of Qi Kung, then you understand that when you look at the simple little idea, there's an awful lot of Qi Kung or breath work going on there, proprioception going on there. And if you do it slow, like I was taught, of course, the way Gary Lam teaches it, it's slow and fast. And of course, I guess it gets that way, but my understanding of greater and lesser yin and yang, the natural exhaustion of speed is slowness, and natural exhaustion of slowness is speed. So if you do everything slow, you're going to be explosive. So that's variation. I've seen there's so many different variations of Wing Chun. There's a Wing Chun that talks so much about being smaller, so you can scientifically beat a bigger guy. There's Wing Chun that actually has big guys because they've trained long, so they can beat any guy. So there's lots of different ways of doing it. Gary's way is as good as any. Okay, and if you follow that way, it's good. Gary Lam is a huge guy. He's a really big guy. He's not really really good. His core conditioning doesn't look that good. It might be really great. I don't know, but it doesn't look like his core is really set. But if you're a person who really is, your core is set in, you're very flexible. You've got groundwork. You can go forward, back, left, right, up and down, and around and around, and you do it well, and you do it in a split second. Then, of course, you can apply what you learned from Gary or what I'm going to talk about to what you already are able to do. So the simple little idea does not move the head. The head doesn't go up and down, doesn't go round and round. There's no slipping, though there is blocking and there's parrying, and there's parrying. The pockets are parried. The blocking, you can use the dong sao as a blocking, jut sao as blocking. There's a spitting motion, okay, which is the punch. There's lots of ways of doing the stuff, but the issue here is it focuses mostly on the chest area. And the focus on the mostly chest area is really awesome if you know the Dim Mak manual, which accompanies the 72 Arts of Shaolin manual, where it shows about 909 of the points. I believe there are 13. If you know those points and you can actually condition your body with what I just talked about to enter into at least 1.5 Kuen into that area or that meridian point, with a strike, you will do lethal damage. That depends on where you strike and damage depending upon that. So yeah, if you know all that stuff, I think Gary was obviously you're a conditioned fighter. You know all that stuff and you're working those things. Oh my goodness, are you going to be really good? Does Wing Chun bridge? Yes. If you do the Chun Q, you learn the bridge. You learn to apply those techniques later when you learn the wooden dummy form. And there are many different wooden dummy forms. Um, the idea is to structure, making sure you're good to go. They move with a movement along the heel, where they believe there's 60% strength on the rear foot and 40% on the front foot. A little bit will work on the toe to make sure you're grounded. They don't believe in lifting the heel at all. Where in my system and what I do, I lift the heel to gain power. Lift and drop the heel as in the chin system, so that I can discharge energy and I ride the ball. You can do them both ways, not according to Gary Lam's system. He only does it one way. But of course, you can do it the way I'm talking about and be as effective, if not more, based on your experience, how much time you put into practice. With no matter the key to any style, no matter what you do, if the basics and the principles are correct, it's the 10,000 hour rule. If you put 10,000 hours into training something and then the 10,000 hours into each specific area where you find weakness based on your natural ability, hey, you're going to be good at what you do compared to somebody who may know a lot but doesn't put that kind of time into perfecting, or I should say, refining and cultivating their techniques. Wing Chun Kuen, as far as I know, is a very cultivating area. And if you are you're a mixed martial artist. Wing Chun is a mixed martial art. It mixes elements of many of the tiger, the crane, the snake. It mixes all of them together, okay, and the monkey. It mixes them all together. But those within that context of fighting. But if you're a context of fighting where you understand those classics, but you also practice boxing, Western pugilism, and it's very in modern Western pugilism, which includes knees and so forth, elbows, and you practice the fighting form, which is 360 degrees in protection, then you're good to go, and you can apply and learn how to learn the form, and then learn how to make it a part of your own technique, so you can work it. Again, I love what I learned from Gary Lam. That part, it's telling me about eyes. Eyes are really important. That's why I picked. There's lots of other things too, but these are things that were important to me. Um, if you want to know, if you're a reactive fighter and you want to know where the individual is coming, or make sure your timing is good when he's coming at you, you're waiting for him to do something, you always look at his eyes. And that's something that I did not really emphasize a lot, because in my style, I don't wait a lot on the opponent. I kind of go after him. But if you're counter punching, then watching those eyes are very important. However, this is something we both did agree on. If you're actually attacking, keep your eyes on the chest. Okay, but keep your eyes on the center line. If you keep your eyes on that center line, you'll see what's coming. And that's interesting. And of course, that's something to work on. I like that, and I work on it a lot. And I'm sure there's more to it than that, and I'll work on that to find out what it is. So those are really good parts about it. Relaxation, a must, a given. That comes with time. Tension, that comes with time. Make sure you get rid of it. All these things, what I learned and more from Gary. And of course, that's why I think that it's cool. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Um, again, they don't do a lot of this, the simple little idea, and also the Chun Q. It doesn't have a lot of knees in it. The elbows, they have a fong. The elbows come up with a fong, and then your hands extend out again. So there is an elbow in both of those forms. But again, that's their basics. For a Western fighter, its basic is not just or a vertical or horizontal elbow, but a horizontal elbow that swings from the side, horizontal elbow that swings from over, sorry, and a vertical elbow, of course, and then a downward elbow. All these things are important. The ability to be able to drop in a split second to one knee and strike at the CV2 to CV6 areas of the conception vessels, which is below the navel and just above the groin, quickly, and then come right back up into your standard position. That's also important if you can do that, and something you might want to work on. That's not in that form, and it's not in any other forms either that I saw, because for them it breaks structure, but for us it might be something you might want to look into. Also, the ability to sweep from behind, to elbow someone coming from behind, and to push them away in a manner which is consistent with structure, and then coming right back to your original position. That's also something you might want to look into doing, and something that I'm working on with my simple little form as it integrates into my knowledge of what I do. And so these are also good things you might want to look at. The idea of kicking. There's no kicking in the basic form. There's a few kicks in the second form, but you might want to, the best kicks, of course, to me, in balance, is being able to kick inside low, outside low, mostly to the knee, or lower inside of the leg, and then kicking front, being sure you take the knee out or hit the person's parts of the thigh which are sensitive, or actually acupoints that can harm, and then kicking from the back, being able to kick the back. All these things for me maintain structure are very important, and they're not a part of those types of techniques for Wing Chun, not in their forms. But if you can integrate that into your form and make it work, more power to you, because it will really, for integrated pugilists, it really helps out a lot. Key to it is maintain structure and balance, and timeless knowing how to do it and when to do it. Other than that, what I learned was unbelievable. Um, Again, feeling the guys are patient, man. Ray Lam, so patient, teaching me stuff, trying to get stuff on me. Gary Lam, unbelievable, taking his time out to teach so much from a lineage system. It's really good, even though he's trying to market, make money, but he's still teaching an awful lot of stuff, and it's really good. Can you learn that stuff other places? Yes. If you want to really get to learn a lot of stuff about what he's talking about, you might want to study the old manual from Wu Menzia's Annotations on Tai Chi Chuan, Ying family's Tai Chi Chuan. It's a small circle Tai Chi Chuan. You might want to pick that up because it's good. And it talks an awful lot in his annotations. The 8-word song, the Tai Chi Diligence song, the Tai Chi training song, um, the 5-section song, 5-method song. Um, all that stuff. It's all in there, but you got to look into it. You got to dig, and you got to apply it to what you know. Um, and of course, if you're a person who actually does a lot of training, a lot of fighting, then you know relaxation, you know about structure, you know about hips, especially modern day sparring. You know about hips. You know how important it is to go up and down. You know how hips important to circle and to be evasive. You know how the danger is of going in and out as opposed to going round and round, in and out. And that's the last part I'll bring to you. Gary talked about shapes. Okay, he talked about it in reference to hands, but I'll talk to you about it in reference to not just hands, but just in movement in general. Of course, a straight line can be intercepted by and diverted by a circle. Once a straight line comes, a circle can push it off to the side. Um, you know that if you're using angles and triangles, that a person is trying to evade you from side to side, you can cut them off at a point, or you can just cut them off just by forming a triangle with your movement. So if you're going side to side, you can meet them there, and you can meet them there, and that will cut them off. You know if a person is actually using a circle to be evasive, okay, you know how you cut them off is picking a point in the circle and meeting them at that point and holding your ground, making sure that your 3 fronts are covered. And if you're doing all those motions and you're doing all that, Gary talked about it, I think you're going to develop a really good system. If you're working your conditioning, you're doing your brass rings, you're doing your yoga, both internal and external. You're doing your conditioning, your core conditioning, where your core is strong. Remember, then you're going to be okay. Remember, and I've learned this too, and it's something I have to always work on. Learning the Wing Chun really helped expose any weaknesses I had, either by oversight of training that I've learned in the past, or new stuff that I'd never really heard of before or thought of in that context. It was good. It also taught me how I would probably go about applying it in my regimen of training, or if I was using it against somebody, God forbid, if I had to. And for me, Wing Chun, even right now and maybe even later on I learn it really helps me apply and execute the Dim Mak techniques that are learned in the manual. And that's why it's two Shaolin techniques, and it really teaches it very well, and that's why I want to master it. Western boxing, the greatest bridge, especially if you're a customado trained fighter, where you actually like to bridge the gap and you like to get inside and stay in the pocket. One of the best ways I know of to bridge that gap. Once you're bridging the gap, though, I think Taiji Chuan is unbelievable, more than Wudang style. Unbelievable for being able to uproot an opponent. But once you've done all that stuff and you beat them down pretty good, up and down, whatever, if you want to, finish them off, if you have to do that, if that's what you have to do, then I would not. Wing Chun is the best method of executing at short range, which of course will be, if he's untrained, he cannot respond. short range and into the more deadlier areas of the body to end that altercation. Yeah, if you combine those three things, and then of course the most important thing, if you do find yourself being taken down, um, and you can integrate, so you got some time to actually practice jujitsu or catch wrestling, please do it. Wrestling, I did that when I was beginning. It's the worst thing I do, but at least I practice my yoga and I know how to get up. And if I get taken down, how to get back up and defend myself. And that's what I learned from it. And not get submitted, because of course submissions are deadly. They disjoint, and they can they submit, they can choke you, they can kill you. So if you've got in your arsenal to defend or to execute any of these things in this area, you're well covered. And Wing Chun definitely, as a stand-up, aim-tight fighting method that executes deadly strikes, okay, I think it's an awesome way to round out your traditional pugilistic skill set. And that being said, thanks so much. I will be putting out, well, I don't know if I will or not. I'll try to put out some videos of what I believe are stuff that could be part of my understanding of the basic, simple idea, and part of the other forms to allow me to understand pure perception from the Wing Chun point of view, but to make it more embracing and complementary to my own system. And again, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys got something out of it. Again, this is also big kudos to the Wing Chun that was brought to Des Moines by the West Wing Chun um, Club, and bringing out Gary Lam, and having him teach. Big stuff, good stuff. And thank you for all, and thanks for listening. Have a nice day. Bye bye.